The Hurricanes make history, and the Minnesota Wild back in their series against the Colorado Avalanche. Welcome to NHL Wraparound Stanley Cupdate. It is Mother's Day 2026. Vic Morren, Neil Smith, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, including mine.
Including yours, and happy Mother's Day, Doris.
And, of course, we remember Marg on this day as well because she made a pretty good one in you.
Well, there's some argument there, but anyway, no, it's great. It's Mother's Day. Don't forget to reach out to everyone you know that is a mother. It doesn't matter whether they're your mother or somebody else's mother. As long as they're a mother, wish them happy Mother's Day.
With that, let's get this thing going because the Hurricanes on Saturday finish off their second consecutive sweep in these 2026 playoffs with a 3-2 overtime win against the Flyers. They become the first team since the NHL went to a best-of-7 in the first round in 1987 to win 8 straight games to open the playoffs. Lineup for the Flyers, though, Neil, and this is where we're going to start. Owen Tippett remained out, so he never played in this series. And Matvei Michkov gets benched for the second time in the postseason. So the Flyers have 5 rookies in their lineup, including Oliver Bonk and Jet Luchenko, who was called up the other day. What do you think the thinking is there, sitting Michkov in a game where if you lose, you're out?
Tocchet and his coaching staff must really have problems with Michkov because this is his second year in the league, and you're going to play a guy who's 19 out of the OHL instead. In Jet Luchenko. Oliver Bonk, by the way, Radek Bonk's son. We saw him play for many years. But just like Tortorella had at times, it looks like the coaching staff has problems with Michkov. Maybe in defensive responsibilities, maybe in turnovers, who knows, but out of the lineup again.
He's only got one more year left on that entry year deal before he becomes an RFA, so it'll be interesting to see if he actually survives another year under Rick Tocchet. But nonetheless, Flyers started this game well, a lot of energy. Tyson Foerster opened the scoring a little less than 8 minutes into the first period after a turnover by AndreMiller, and the Flyers had a chance to extend this lead. Travis Konecny had shot, went off Anderson, and then Trevor Zegras hit a post on the power plays. Flyers showing that desperation and showing good jump early.
Yeah, and putting Carolina on their heels and for the second time making Carolina trail in a game, which they're not used to doing. And that's all you could hope to do if you're Philly is get out there and get the first goal.
I thought that this was the Flyers' best period of the series, maybe except for the overtime in Game 2, which they lost. And in that second, Porter Martone had an excellent chance right before the team got a 40-second 5-on-3. And we have already talked about how dreadful this power play has been for the last half-decade. And it starts with small things. Zegras lost the faceoff to Mark Jankowski, and right away, that kills half of those 40 seconds. And then at the end of the power play, as the second penalty was about to expire, Rasmus Ristolainen takes a penalty, and you can't say it enough. The first thing that Keith Jones and Danny Briere have to work on is getting the personnel necessary to make a power play work. Because it just doesn't.
Well, they don't have good zone entries. They're not able to set up quick enough. And they're certainly not able to contain the puck. The 5-on-3 was dreadful. I would say more than Jones and Briere, Tocchet and his staff better get working on the power play. In the National Hockey League, everybody has players good enough to make a power play work. Something's wrong in the way you are planning your power play if it is this bad.
And this goes back to Torts and Rocky Thompson running the power play before the current regime. So, again, this is something that has effects in games. And sure enough, soon after that, it's Jackson Blake with a shot from along the boards through a screen, ties the score at 1. The Canes had a potential go-ahead goal, waved off 28 seconds later when it was ruled that William Carrier interfered with Dan Vladar.
And it was definitely goaltender interference. There was no doubt on this one. I mean, when you saw the replay immediately after the goal went in, I don't think there was anybody who would say, oh, that wasn't goaltender interference. He was clearly in the blue paint, clearly touched the goaltender. That's all it takes.
Couple of good chances late in the second period. Anderson stopping Garnet Hathaway with 3:30 left. And then Jankowski missing a wide open side on a Walker rebound. And then Christian Dvorak hit a post in the final seconds. But, you go back and look at Owen Tippett's absence. And Hathaway has had some good looks in this series. But that's the difference when you have a finisher like Tippett and a meat and potatoes guy like Hathaway trying to put goals.
Oh, absolutely.
The shots in the second period were 15-4 for Carolina, but I thought even throughout this game, and we'll get into some of the numbers as we get towards the third period in the overtime, I thought the high-end chances were relatively even in this game.
Well, there is no doubt that Philly did have a lot of chances. In my mind, there's just not the finish there in Philadelphia that you've got in Carolina. You've got so many high-end guys. What's really amazing about the Hurricanes and their depth is they've got that great first line of Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov, and then all of a sudden out comes these little guys, little in height, but not little in play. Jackson Blake and Logan Stankoven playing with the veteran Taylor Hall, and that line is terrific in the playoffs and continued in this game.
And that line had their impact early in the third period, and we talk about little things that manifest themselves and they become big things. Logan Stankoven off a 3-on-2 beat Alex Bump to the net, and he puts home Hall's feed to put the Canes ahead 2-1. And this is a situation that it was a 3-on-2 that should have been a 3-on-3. Bump stopped skating at the blue line, and that's where Stankoven got the step.
Yeah, the youngster Alex Bump, a rookie out of Western Michigan University, he was caught puck watching. He was watching the puck on the other side of the ice and what was going on there, and looked on the replay like he literally forgot that Stankoven was his guy.
You didn't do that at Western Michigan. Your legs never stopped.
I was a defenseman, so I had to, make up for all the guys that let guys go.
But just 139 later, Bump manages to make up for his mistake. It's another turnover by Miller, and Travis Konechny hits Bump out in front. He converts, and the game is 2-2. And as this game pushes on to its later stages of the third period, Vladar makes a save on Jankowski with about 8 minutes left in close. And as we head to overtime, Neil, we talked about this a couple of minutes ago. Shots 36-15 for the Canes, attempts 70-36. But the high-end chances were relatively even. But you watch Carolina play. They keep coming and keep coming. And this continued into the overtime where the Hurricanes had a 4-2 edge in shots on goal, but 14-3 in attempts. And it's that relentlessness that led to the game-winning goal.
Yeah, because they've got all four lines coming at you, and they've got skill on all four lines, particularly the top two. It just seemed as you're watching this game that it was just a matter of time before Carolina won this.
5.5 minutes in, Jamie Drysdale with an outlet pass. It is turned over to Jacob Slavin, gets the puck to Taylor Hall, and then it's Blake with a shot. Really hard to handle for Vladar because it's up high by his ear, gets a glove on it, but it trickles over the goal line. Season over for the Flyers, and the Canes move on.
Yep, and sort of poetic justice, if you know what I mean, because of the fact that this is how the series went. And again, I can't talk enough about Taylor Hall, Jackson Blake, and Logan Stankoven. You just can't. I mean, while the attention of everybody is on Aho and Jarvis and Svechnikov, which it should be, they're great players, these three guys really won the series for Carolina in my book.
3 of the 8 wins between the Ottawa and the Philadelphia series come in overtime. And this is clearly an example where the Hurricanes were superior to both of those teams by a wide margin, but that they had to go to overtime on 3 different occasions. Any reason for concern?
No, not really. Give the other teams credit. It's hard to knock a team out in 4 straight. You're going to have some luck along with it. I don't care if it's the Colorado Avalanche playing against the Vancouver Canucks this year, 1 versus 32. It's really hard to beat a National Hockey League team 4 straight times. So, you know what? Overtime sometimes gets mixed in with that, and it ends up that you're better in that 65th or 70th or 75th minute of the game.
The Hurricanes will await the winner of the Sabres-Canadiens series. Just a little bit of a look ahead. Hurricanes were 2-1-0 against Buffalo during the regular season, but lost all 3 to the Canadiens, being outscored 15-8.
Interesting.
Something to look forward to when we do our conference finals preview. In the West, the Minnesota Wild get back into their series against the Colorado Avalanche with a 5-1 win. This series had 3 days off in between games 2 and 3. And even though Joel Eriksson-Ek and Jonas Brodin still out, Zach Bogosian back in the lineup, and this just looked like a more refreshed Minnesota team in this must-win situation for them. But when I watched this first period, the crowd was generally very quiet. They weren't enthused, and it was almost like there was a sense of doom there. But Jesper Wallstedt, back in net for the Wild, makes a big stop on Parker Kelly about 11 minutes in, and then it's Brock Faber with a rush to Kirill Kaprizov coming late. He makes a deep and a sharp angle shot to beat Scott Wedgwood at 15-11. And then $1:33 later on a power play. What a shot by Quinn Hughes, shooting kind of back across the grain to the blocker side. And it's 2-0. And now crowd is starting to feel it. And the Wild, for the first time in this series, really have something good to feel about.
Terrific play by Hughes. A great shot through the screen. As you said, on the blocker side, it makes it 2-0. And you can feel in the building now that the crowd thinks, my goodness, we can win. We're going to win. This is fantastic. We're going to win. And up and down the bench, the players are saying, we can beat these guys. We can beat these guys. And that's what it takes. You've got to get that mojo going during a playoff game.
At 4:23 of the second power play for the Wild, which had struggled in games 1 and 2, and it's Matt Zuccarello who hits Devon Toews. The puck heads upward, and it's tapped in by Ryan Hartman, and that goal chased Wedgwood at 3-0.
Yeah, did you think Wedgwood was playing poorly in that game? I didn't get that sense.
I didn't either. I just thought that maybe this was a situation where Jared Bednar wanted to make a change and perhaps change the momentum, as so many coaches do in this league. But I didn't think he played badly. But it was interesting after the game, when asked about the switch, Bednar says, well, we've got a decision to make. But I think the reality, he goes back to Wedgwood for game 3.
I think Wedgwood's his guy. I don't think that he's lost confidence in him.
The Avs did manage to get on the board with a power play goal of their own late in the second. Puck work down low to Gabe Landeskog, and after he takes a shot, he's driven into the net by Damon Hunt, and Nathan MacKinnon shovels in a loose puck to make the score 3-1. But then, on a delayed penalty just 20 seconds later, Vlad Tarasenko takes a shot. It's stopped by Mackenzie Blackwood, but Karam's back in off Brock Faber, and now it's 4-1, and that 3-goal lead is regained.
Yeah, and that is going to be hard now for even the Avalanche to come back at this point.
I was curious to see how Minnesota was going to play this third period, because the Avs, the best third period team in the NHL this season, but they kept coming throughout that third period. Tarasenko actually had a chance to make it 5-1, but was stopped on a breakaway by Blackwood. But something else to look at, they had a shift of 71 consecutive seconds in that Colorado zone. So it's not like they were holding back. They were pushing for that fifth goal.
Well, they had their confidence. They had their, as we say, the mojo, and they're going like, let's just pile on.
Wallstedt, outstanding throughout the rest of the game when called upon, particularly in the last 2 minutes when Colorado had the goalie pulled. And Matt Boldy scores into the empty net with 4 seconds left to give you that 5-1 final. But particularly notable here, we had mentioned, in our show the other day, how worn down Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber looked. because that defense was depleted with Bogosian and Brodin out. They look completely refreshed in this game, and when you take them, Zuccarello, and Kirill Kaprizov, 10 points between those four players.
Amazing. Obviously the best game of the playoffs for the Minnesota Wild. Just a terrific effort, a terrific comeback effort. But you're right, the 3 days off did help.
First loss for the Avalanche in 7 games in these 2026 playoffs. Game 4, Monday, 8 o'clock on ESPN. Sunday schedule, ESPN back in the mix. And it's Buffalo at Montreal for Game 3. Sam Carrick has been cleared to play for Buffalo. He has not played since the end of March after suffering an arm injury. I am looking for the Canadiens to come out fast, come out strong, and to see how Buffalo responds. Will they go back to Alex Lyon, or is it UPL?
Yeah, who knows how Lindy Ruff is going to see this. And again, who's going to be better at this game in Montreal? Obviously, you got to think Montreal is going to come out with reckless abandon. They'll have all that pomp and stance at the game. They'll have somebody come out with the torch. They'll have everybody cheering and so on and so forth. But Buffalo may feel like, this is great. We're just going to let them go crazy like this. We're not nervous. We're just going to go out and play our game. Or that momentum might carry Montreal to score an early goal and just take it out of Buffalo's hands. But it's going to be a good game. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Can't wait for this one, and I don't use that term very often. Late game, Vegas at Anaheim, Game 4 at 9:30. Golden Knights leading this series 2-1. Clearly their best game of the series in game number 3. Vegas captain Mark Stone will miss this game with what is being called an undisclosed injury. He left late in the first period of Game 3. Brandon Saad will step in to make his playoff debut. What are you looking for here?
Well, I just want to see how Joel Kenville and Anaheim respond to that ass whooping they took in the first game in Anaheim from Vegas. And again, we've said this over and over and over again. The team that won doesn't make as many adjustments. The team that lost in the playoffs will make several adjustments, and we'll see if their lineup changes for Kenville or what gets tightened up. You would think defensively they're going to have to tighten up a little bit. They were outplaying Vegas, and all of a sudden it was 3-0 Vegas. So they're going to have to make some changes.
Picks for tonight, because I know that you went right past the fact that I was 2-0.
You were 2-0. Well, say it. Like who was 2-0? And I picked Carolina.
Yes.
And I picked Colorado, which you thought I would. And you picked Minnesota. And you picked Carolina. So I admit,
yes,
it was 2-1 for you last night. Tonight, I'm going to say in the early game, Montreal, and in the late game, Anaheim.
I'm going to agree with you on both counts. And if Vegas should win, I'll await the text from Torts with the raised middle finger, and that will be that.
Yeah.
So. Hey, before we go, today, Mother's Day, 56th anniversary of probably the greatest visual that we have ever seen in NHL history. Bobby Orr goal that gave the Bruins their Stanley Cup in 1970, and they had not had one since 1941 before that. But as the lore of this goal never dies, and for my money, it is the greatest visual that we've ever seen. But when the NHL did their 100 greatest moments for the 100th anniversary, this still goes down as the greatest moment in hockey history. And I got to push back on that one because it was a 3-0 series lead for the Bruins. And if Orr didn't score, he may have scored later in the overtime. And if it wasn't him, it might have been somebody else. And if the Blues scored, this series was going to end in 5. It wasn't a dramatic series. It's the visual that has driven this narrative.
Oh, absolutely. It's that picture, that snapshot. Noel Picard tripping Bobby Orr just after he'd put the puck in the net, and Bobby Orr is flying through the air like Superman.
And Orr has even said that he did a little bit of embellishment, and good on him, because it made the picture that much greater. It made the imagery legendary. But to say it's the greatest moment ever, and I know there's going to be some pushback in Boston because that's got to be the greatest thing of all time. But if you look since that goal, there are dozens of moments, if you take the word moment as the word that we're working with here, dozens that eclipse that.
Well, of course. And you wonder what defines a moment. There are plenty. Wayne Gretzky scoring 50 goals in 39 games. I mean, that was just incredible, unbelievable. There's been many unbelievable things. Every time a Stanley Cup is won, and it doesn't happen that often, in overtime, it's an unbelievable moment, as long as they don't go back and replay it over and over and make everybody wait. But there are a lot of great moments. This was a great moment for Boston. It was the greatest player in the league at the time, scoring the goal that got Boston the Stanley Cup after we had been so tired of seeing Montreal win it, right, in 68 and 69. After the Leafs won it in 67, never to be won again. But it was a great moment for Boston Bruins. It was a great moment for the NHL. Was it the greatest moment? I agree with you. I don't think so.
Send your hate mail to either me, Vic at NHLWraparound.com, or Neil at NHLWraparound.com. Remember that we are on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and YouTube. Leave a review or please subscribe. You can also find us on X, Instagram, TikTok, at Ray8.tv and Buzzard.com, BZZR.com.
Our website is NHLWraparound.com. Anybody out there that wants to advertise with us, wants to promote their products with us, we'd be happy to talk to you. We're going live next season. You get placement on our website as well, and you get a good deal out of us right now. So if you want to back us by being a sponsor, now's the time to jump on board. Spring cleanings on Quick Takes are coming again. Some more. Edmonton on Monday. Hard to believe they're out of it already. Boston, Utah, and Tampa Bay all next week.
I've been doing the research on Edmonton, and there is going to be a lot to go through with them. So that will be dropping on Monday. But for today, that's it for now. On behalf of Neil, I'm Vic, and we'll also be back with another edition of Stanley Cupdate on Monday. Take care, all. Happy Mother's Day.